It's like, whatever.
Yeah,
It's hot.
you don't question.
Nice guy though, too. He's always
Friday. I knew there was something he did this week. I couldn't remember what it was.
Logan. Hey. Man, Monday to go like. It's a lot. Been a lot of.
City.
Seems like. You can get ready.
Yeah.
It sort of comes together. Not just can't be that.
Yes, we do.
What is that? That's what first you guys. We can. If things come up, we can, you go. You should be. Remember that. For sure. Yeah. Being about. And gosh.
You want me to say that we need to do the proclamation?
Hey, what do you mean?
Just I just want to say it's you're harder budget public information.
That's Ashley.
So it doesn't say. You're gonna have to. Yes, right. It brings market. But that's. Exactly. I call this.
Pen rubs and then back.
Hi, John.
Okay. I'll call the Webster City June 3rd City Council meeting to order. Call the roll.
Abby Hansen,
Here.
John Hawkins,
Here.
Megan McFarland, here. Matt McKinney,
Here.
Logan Welch,
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation. Indivisible.
Call for motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item 1, petitions, communications and requests. This is the time of the meeting that a citizen may address the council on matter not on the agenda. Except in cases of emergency, the city council will not take any action at this meeting, but ask city staff to research the matter or have the matter placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Yes, want to come up to the. What's your name?
Linda Philbrook. Hello, you look South Road Drive.
Yeah.
And I want to reference. Section 5, paragraph D of City Ordinance number 862. In regard to infrastructure and developments,
Right.
who's responsible? The city, the developer, or the contractor? It includes property has been brought to street, reached to city approved grade, constructed curb and gutter, asphalt and concrete streets, and installed the sanitary sewer and easements for electric and phone lines have been executed as required by the city manager. Who's responsible to ensure that's done?
Upholder code.
What are we referencing?
Yeah, or you're talking, who's responsible for upholding the.
Yes.
I believe our, public works or inspection department, correct? Yeah. The city employees.
Has it been done?
Could we have some context?
You
Yeah,
have what?
Could we have some context?
Where are you talking about? Where has it been done or?
Well, the subdivision, new subdivision just west of my house.
So in Brewer Creek, fifth edition?
Yes, but I'm in the 4th division.
Right. Yeah, it was all done there. The city did it all.
you have some concerns about something over there?
Yeah, the water situation.
Are you not getting water or?
Oh,
I mean, let's still
I'm
work out.
getting more than my share of the water, and you've got sump pumps in those new houses, and they aren't even finished yet.
So you're saying you're worried about some water, mitigation issues, subterranean, like underground. You're getting water in your basement, right? And is that something that's changed since we've done a development? Is that what you're saying?
It's changed when you first did those beyond the end of Southfield Drive.
Okay. So are we kind of,
I have been putting up with this for 15 years.
okay. Well, I understand.
I'm
it for-
trying to get the problem within my house resolved. And I'm not getting very far with the project.
No, I understand your frustration. Thanks for bringing this to us. To my knowledge, those codes have been upheld by the developers, builders, and city staff. If you're having issues with, your drainage, maybe seek a public or professional opinion, but I can't intelligently speak to what may be causing that. But I do have faith in us upholding our own ordinances.
Are you aware that that whole area originally was a marsh? Then became farm ground,
Mhm.
then became real estate?
So it just means whoever builds out there needs to be aware that they're gonna have groundwater. I mean, that's part of what it is.
Well, everything west of me doesn't have any sidewalks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mine's the next to last house that has a sidewalk.
Yep.
Unfortunately, these public, statements, we can't really do much action for you, but I would encourage you to take this conversation maybe, to city staff and dig into a little bit there. Cause again, we can't personally tell you exactly who would expect.
I have been to city, I've been to the city attorney. This issue is not resolved yet.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else have anything? I have a proclamation for Webster City Community Beautification for June 2024. Whereas the quality of life in a community is often exemplified by the physical beauty of that community, along with the physical appearance of neighborhoods and businesses, which are examples of pride in a community. And whereas the city of Webster City has set annual cleanup drop-off event to be held at Webster City Middle School parking lot on Friday the 7th from 12 noon till 4 p.m. and Saturday 8th of June from 8 a.m. till noon. Whereas we urge all citizens to take advantage of this opportunity to dispose of items that cannot be placed in a regular garbage or be recycled. And whereas the Webster City community, including civic groups, business community, neighborhood groups, have demonstrated a willingness to work together to enhance the beauty of the city through a variety of endeavours. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and members of the City Council that the month of June 2024 be proclaimed as Webster City Community Beautification in the city of Webster City, and that all citizens be encouraged to observe this month as an opportunity to come together as friends and as neighbours and as a community to beautify the city, and through such projects to enhance community pride and quality of life. I'll move on to item 2 is minutes, claims, reports and licenses. The following items have been deemed non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, will be considered on its normal sequence on the agenda. I have minutes of May 16 and May 20th. B is claims, including payroll ending May 18th, and the fund list.
Move to approve collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, general agenda, public hearing. Budget amendments. I'll open the hearing. Any written objections?
No objections?
Are there any oral objections?
Receive no oral objections.
I'll close the hearing.
Good evening.
So the proposed amendments for fiscal year 24 include 4 revenue reductions and 1 expense increase. I spelled it out in the memo, but did you have any questions?
Nope. Thanks, Dave. Call for resolution adopting the budget amendment for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item B is the third reading of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Webster City, Iowa by amending Chapter 46, Article 2, Division 2, Section 46-50 pertaining to stop requirements at certain streets.
So this is for the addition of stop signs to be installed on Grove, for vehicles traveling on Grove Street at Cedar Street. The traffic committee recommended the city council to approve the third reading and pass and adopt the ordinance amending the Webster City Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 46, Article 2, Division 2, Section 4650 in regards to stop requirements at certain streets.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Call for a motion to pass and adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item C is a resolution setting time and place for a public hearing pertaining to the disposal of city-owned property in Brewer Creek Estates, 6th edition, for June 17th at 6:05 PM. Evening, Erin.
So this is just an item that it actually came before you in March, and you guys had approved the disposal of lots 21, 22, and 23 and 24. Since then, the developer has reapproached us and is requesting to purchase instead 22, 23, 28, and 29 due to the development of their, or the layout of their development, and also a LLC name change. So right now, what I'm requesting is just to set a public hearing for the 17th at 6:05.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item D is a resolution establishing a meter inconvenience fee.
So staff is requesting council approve a $75 per meter fee for customers who will not allow us to upgrade to the AMI. This fee would offset costs for the reader to roll the truck, to go to individual property. We have the meter reading device that they use is obsolete, where it's not under maintenance any longer. So if it would break, we wouldn't be able to read the current meter. That on the radio read on the water, some of them are remote and they'll have like a touchpad that's outside the home. We have a different reader for that. And once we get the reading, we would just have to write it down if that passport would break. So right now we have a goal for the water meters to be installed by September 30th. We have, according to, I think the last report, we had like 350 water left to install. Staff are making appointments and the meter readers are installing those when they're not reading. So then we want to also have, if we're unable to get a hold of customers, or if they have made an appointment, failed to be home to let us in, we would like to deliver notices the same as we would do like a delivery slip for non-payment. There would not be a charge, but it would state that they have 10 days to call us to make an appointment, or we would start charging this fee. It sounds like rumor has already floated around Webster City. We have had a few people call and say that they want to get the meter installed because they heard that there might be such. So on the electric side, probably wouldn't have it. We do have some electric meters still in the home, so it is possible, but most of them are outside. This will not be an issue because they're going to change them if they're outside.
So you're getting people actively like dodging this or resisting this, or just people not being able to get contacted? Like,
I would say both.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I'd say there's both situations. I think, want to thank the community for those that have already installed their meters, I think the staff and the contractor did an excellent job in getting as many done as they could in the time that the contract allowed for the contractor to be on site. Unfortunately, we still have few remaining households that are the holdouts, so to speak, or we're having difficulty getting into the house to change out the water meter. As a result, in an effort to keep the project going along in a timely manner, as Dodie mentioned, trying to execute full completion of the water portion of the side of the installation by September 30th. Dodie approached the executive team with a recommendation that we consider an inconvenience fee. And as you mentioned, it seems to be working with some of the remaining customers.
Also on that, folks, the software that the passports use to then blend into or export into their billing software, there's no longer support on that either. Whenever there's an issue, I'm punting, trying to get it working again. So it's just done. They need to be gone.
So with this inconvenience fee, we'd be implementing as of September, once you've sent notices out and, okay.
I think Dodie was planning to do it this month.
I want to start telling people that,
Right.
that this will happen if they do not comply with the installation. But I do want to give them a fair chance. So if somebody called and made an appointment and failed to be there, we would give them, another chance. If they call ahead of time, we've given, like, I know customer just called 3 different times and finally was home to do this. So we really want to work with people. I mean, we do not want to charge this $75 fee, but it's going to come to the point where we're going to have a handful of meters and we're going to have other duties for our meter readers to be doing. So they're also going to be pulled away from those new duties. So
That makes sense. I just wanted to make sure we were giving them ample time to.
yes, I can't, I mean, if we have had somebody that just says, no, I'm not going to let you in, I would probably like to start it earlier than September, but
Yeah, if they're
The majority
saying
would be
no,
after
I
this.
understand that.
yeah.
I just want to make sure, because I'm a little confused based on the discussion. You're not recommending that this starts after September. Your intent is that it be implemented this month or next month,
Yeah. I mean,
next billing cycle,
yes.
whatever after.
Whenever, I don't think I'm gonna actually charge people yet, because I think we still have enough meters left to install that I can't say somebody's dodging us yet. But if we would call somebody and they would say, absolutely not, I'm not, I'm not gonna do it,
Work with you, yeah.
then yes, I would like to begin. But otherwise, I think we would wait a few months and still give those folks a chance to,
I just needed to clarify.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we would just put that on the annual fee resolution.
So in essence, we'd be voting for this to begin immediately, but with the discretion to enforce it.
Call for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item E is a resolution relating to the financing of proposed projects to be undertaken by the City of Webster City, Iowa, establishing compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code for the HVAC for City Hall.
So I actually have 3 resolutions. The first one, yes, being the HVAC. This resolution is allowing us to go back 60 days from the date of the resolution, so April 3rd, and reimburse ourselves for any costs pertaining to these different projects. So the HVAC is, we put 900,000 on that one. That is the maximum that we would be allowed to bond for this type of a project. And then I also have the 2 Fairmeadow that's going on right now between Superior and Des Moines. And then the second phase, which will be from Des Moines to Rockland. And the first one is the full engineering that we have what contract now and the contractor's cost. So this is high. I used the whole thing. Part of it's gonna be paid by water, but I did put in the whole thing, just better be safe than not. And then the 2.3 million on the other one is the engineer's estimate and their contract that I believe was approved at last.
The engineering contract. So as we're going through, the Fair Meadow One project was an existing project, as the council considered the CIP for, the CIP fund, which is our street maintenance fund. We, embarked upon a new pavement management, program that increased sort of catch up this year. As part of that last round in the approved budget, funding for Fair Meadow Phase One was anticipated to be funded with GEO debt. Now, in that budget as well, you're already planning for Fair Meadow Two. The engineering was on the last agenda, and so this is anticipation of if we do decide to proceed with Fair Meadow Two, you would be able to reimburse yourself with the bond proceeds. But it's not a decision to borrow for Fair Meadow Two right now.
Any questions with it? Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So item F is a resolution relating to the financing of proposed projects to be undertaken in Webster City, Iowa, establishing compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code for Fair Meadow Drive Project Phase One. Call for motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Then the resolution relating to the financing of proposed projects to be undertaken by Webster City, Iowa, establishing compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code for Fair Meadow Drive Project Phase Two.
Move to approve.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item G is a resolution authorising the execution of deferred loan agreement documents related to the partial rehabilitation of 608 Second Street, Webster City, Iowa, with the local initiative transformation of Webster City, an Iowa nonprofit corporation.
I'm just pulling up the agenda statement here. And I don't have it. So Kirby, can you pull it up so I
You
can
bet.
take a look at it?
We're on F or G.
G.
You're on them.
Just the agreement. It's the deferred loan
Deferred
agreement. Yeah, thank you. All right, attached is for your consideration is a deferred loan agreement. This has to do with 608 Second Street. We have discussed this project for some time. Certainly the council is aware of it, as this is the resolution of the fire from late last year. We've discussed at the council at least 2 times matching the catalyst grant from the state as they had requested to move this project forward and rehabilitate the building at least to a stage where it could be marketed. And then as well as sort of resolving any issues with that structure. So buildings like the theater can proceed with their full rehabilitation. I would say that I think based in some part with this effort, believe there's already a purchaser for the building to the other side of the building, and they're getting ready to proceed with getting that building back in line. So this is a deferred loan agreement between the city and the LIFT organization in the sum of $100,000. There are a series of contingencies with the note, Kirby, if you could scroll down. So you can see item 2, LIFT will use the funds to facilitate the partial rehabilitation of the structure. They will agree to secure the preliminary note by finishing to the city a security agreement and mortgage. So hold the mortgage to the property. All of the payments are deferred, including the principal and interest, till such time as the property is sold. Then with the city will reimburse itself with any proceeds. If the building is sold for less than $100,000, the city would be contributing the balance as somewhat of a grant to the project. If it's sold for more, we would recoup our full amount. This agreement also gives the city a first right of refusal to the purchase of property. And LIFT will guarantee that you know, we will be able to review whoever's moving in there before they execute the agreement. Can you go to 6, please? In addition, if the property is not sold within 3 years, the city can determine to take ownership of the building for our grant. We would not have to pay any proceeds to lift. It would just be for the $100,000 that we've granted. Of course, it's not assignable. And I believe that summarizes the major tenants. If you can scroll down.
So there's just legal jargon.
Yeah. So it's come together. I believe we have a favorable review from the state of Iowa to match that that deferred loan with the $100,000 for the Catalyst grant, sort of in process. One of the reasons for bringing this to you before maybe formally receiving the notice from the state, although we've got verbal agreements for that, is that Lyft has already expended a considerable amount of money on it. I would say that they joined the city in our efforts to open the sidewalk in advance of market nights, to repair the building so it's structurally safe for residents and visitors to go by. And so we do recommend approval in sort of that good faith effort between Lyft and the city as we embark to get Main Street ready for the summer.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item H is a resolution authorizing the city manager to award bid for the purchase of a new Pierce Enforcer top mount pumper from Reliance Fire Apparatus Incorporated through Sourcewell for the Webster City Fire Department. David, Chuck.
I've got some information on the financing and background of this, but please, Chief Stansfield, regale us with stories of fire apparatus and our needs to replace them.
How much time do we?
Yeah.
Mayor Council, I do thank you for your time on this. As you know, in the past, I've talked a little bit about some of our plans and the way we have a 30-year ideology with our trucks, that we try to keep them for 30 years, which is well past industry standard, but yet with a good maintenance program and a quality truck purchase, we can maintain that for 30 years. We've been able to do that with several of our trucks. At this point, as we know, and as you've read, our average truck is 27 years old. And that's with a pretty new truck in there, 2012 truck. So we do have some apparatus that really are well past that 30 years. The one that we're speaking of tonight is a 1991 pumper, and we are in desperate need to exchange that out for a new one. I would like to request that we could purchase a new Pierce Enforcer pumper truck in the amount said in the resolution, $836,463. In speaking with the vendor and using sole purchase Sourcewell as a cooperating purchase agreement with them, we've received discounts, and if we were to pay 100%, we received quite a good discount on the piece of equipment as well, as you probably read. We are looking to use speed camera money to purchase that, which is what it was intended for, and so I just would hope for your consideration of this project. And I know there's a lot of information that I gave you, and probably a lot of information that I could have gave you more, and said, let's settle it down a little bit. So do you have any questions on the project?
As you're considering your questions, just to discuss the financing options that have been presented in the memo and sort of the background on the speed camera revenue. Chuck mentioned that the full price cost of the fire apparatus is $952,000. Of course, with our work with Sourcewell, we did receive a 1% discounts for a total price of $836,000. Still a considerable amount. So I think worthy just sort of discussing how we plan to finance that. So option one, of course, is to fully fund the payment of $836,000, which I could say in my career I've not done. It's already always typically required financing, so you should consider yourselves fortunate that you're able to consider that as an option here in Webster City. Option two, we've outlined, putting some money down and putting the rest of the balance on the anticipated geo sale in next year. So in this case, you would pay a certain amount up front. Well, you'd pay the whole price up front. We'd reserve 200,000 of the balance or another number, 3, 4, 5, and borrow the remaining amount. Of course, you would be paying interest on that remaining amount, which would increase your cost from $836,000 to a higher amount. During development of the 24-25 budget, no funds were allocated for the purchase of a fire apparatus as a result of competing priorities in the budget discussion and quite frankly, just no source of revenue. But after 8 months of monitoring revenue from the speed camera, revenue generated from the speed camera, Doty and I believe sufficient revenue now exists to consider both option one or option two that I outlined. This is especially and despite the legislature's recent changes to limiting the use of speed cameras revenue to public safety, police and fire operations or capital equipment, as well as street improvements. As we are aware, we will be working with the Iowa Department of Transportation to renew the permit in October of this year. Despite that, revenue by that time will be sufficient to fund this fully. And so there is not a risk, even with the change in legislation, to you proceeding with this purchase.
I have a question on that piece. When does that legislation take effect if it already has?
Chief Mork is here and can speak a little more to that.
The reason, I mean, we can get into the weeds of it, that date's important, but
if you so desire.
I'm curious if there's any ability, I guess, to any revenue created before that was implemented to be able to use it for other aspects. Because moving forward, these speed cameras, if we're only locked into public safety, then we might want to consider using it in other places before we're locked into just public safety, if this is going to be an ongoing thing. But again, I please, if you have a date when that comes into effect.
It was signed May 17th, and that's what I want to do.
And so would that be anything before that date is still open to discretion of city council how to be used as we
That's
set
my
the fund up? Okay. So that's one thing we might want to be conscious of is whatever's in the coffers before that date, we could use anything, right?
Chief Mork, you've been involved in some of those regulatory. Do you believe that anything before can be used discretionary? I'd need to check with that.
Agree.
Okay.
So I just want us to be conscious of that because if I understand we need this pump truck and I agree we need it. It just, again, it would very kind of pigeonhole us in the future because these speed cameras are going to be there ongoing unless there's policy change. So, maybe financing it and paying that financing with revenue off of the speed cameras might be more smart. And then using that, the amount in there now for other things that might need some stimulus. But again, I'm good either way. I just want to be aware of how that might be limiting to how to use some of these funds.
So in addition to public safety, it can be used on streets as well, correct? That's how it was written.
The three uses.
Transportation.
Street improvement, I believe is the language in the bill.
I'd have to read it again.
Yes.
Yeah. Semantics.
Now that, I mean, what Logan says makes sense. I think between, fire department, police department and street expenses, I think we're going to be spending that plus every year anyway. So I'm not super concerned either way myself, which route we go, but I think it does make sense to, do a portion down with financing instead of taking the full amount out. That's the route I would recommend we go.
And the only reason I say that is because, we haven't really had a policy discussion on how we want to spend this. And if the state did it for us, well, I wouldn't mind holding on to a little bit under $1 million to kind of see where else we could stimulate, some need while we still can. So, but with that said, I also want to, asterisk, yes, this is very needed. Your request to the council is greatly needed and I appreciate you coming to us with this request because by no means do I feel we do not need an updated pumper truck.
So if we do option 2, would we still get the discount?
As long as the full purchase is made, yes.
Okay.
And we'd reimburse ourselves from the proceeds, correct, Dodie? Yeah.
Do we have any type of a ballpark we think the bond interest rates would be running nowadays?
Well, the revenue bonds that we sold for the water and electric utility were 4% right at that. So I think our geo back might be slightly less, but not much.
And I mean, I'd be cool, playing with the numbers of like putting a chunk down. Again, I don't necessarily want to take all the accumulated value before that legislative change. But, if it gets us into a better situation.
I don't necessarily agree because I guess my thought in the first place was we were leaning towards most of this money going to public safety when we originally came up with this. And being aware that fire truck was probably the biggest expense that we were looking at and the taxpayers, Webster City haven't got a bond for anything and we can afford to pay for it, then why not save them the extra money, the 4%, and you pay for it up in advance and we don't bond and it just saves the taxpayers. I mean, we'll get some benefits through transportation or whatever out of the future money that's coming. But I do think that it is a fair chunk of, it is a good use of money that really was going for public safety anyway. So.
I agree with you.
And it's not, if we don't have a use, if you can't think of anything that you want to throw the other bits of money to now, then what's better than something we know we needed for quite a while.
I have several, but we just haven't sat down and had that discussion of how we want to use it. And the other thing is these things have been active since the middle of November and we've accumulated over this purchase price. So I guess what I'm saying is in 6 months, we'll have that value again, but we're going to be waiting 36 months for this truck. Is that right? The 36 months? Yeah. So I guess.
We'll have to pay 4.5% interest on that money over time. Yeah. You take delivery of it.
Well, I'm saying you can pay the loan off
It
in
is.
6 months. And you paid it off early. That's what I'm saying. Like you just paid it off in 6 months.
The bonds would likely not be,
Right.
you can call the bonds, but you do pay a penalty for that.
I gotta understand.
You can issue a shorter term of a bond, but your payment would be higher than I've outlined in this memo.
I agree with your comments, Mayor. This was originally designed for public safety stimulus, and this is a needed purchase. Again, I just feel that if we have no restraints on spending this on this type of purchase in 6 months, but revenue prior to May, whatever it was, is restrained. So I think of a lot of projects that I wouldn't mind, finding a way to help, stimulus or fund with this amount of money, so. Anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is I would just hate, for something to come in front of us in 2 months going, well, we can't.
But you could look at it too, that the money would be freed up at the general fund to use for those other things by, paying for police and fire and street improvements.
But this wasn't in our budget. Right. We weren't budgeting for this anyway. Am I correct?
No,
Right.
but if you put your public safety money goes in, it comes out of the general fund.
Yeah.
So it means that the general fund would be healthier because it's got a big chunk it's going into.
Yeah, we could, kind of play the shell game there too, because we could essentially pay for some road projects in the future and then not, with this and then have that freed up to something else or public safety, the general fund. I agree.
I think
I just
you're
think
gonna
it's
end
good-
up spending
it's a
it
good-
either way.
Yeah. No,
I think you're getting the fire truck, Chuck.
yeah. Split that one. It just, it's again, it's,
Unfortunately, you gotta wait 3 years to get it, so I'm not sure whether it's really a celebration yet, but but it will be in 3 years' time.
Megan, what do you think?
So I guess you need to know how you.
Points are
I
pretty.
was gonna say, I don't have a strong opinion.
Either way, I think. There's merit to both.
Well, I don't think the resolution specifies
That we have to decide at this point.
what option they have to take.
No, it doesn't.
Just authorizing the city manager to award the bid for the purchase of the pumper.
But he probably wants an idea.
Well, if you're gonna go, because if you're gonna go buy. It's just-
Want
The
to
new one.
include the option in the resolution, we can.
Yeah.
Put that in there in your motion. Vote on that.
Option one.
That's what I want. All right, that's what I think.
Any motion?
And then motion
Motion to approve option one.
to approve the resolution with
Resolution.
payment being,
Fully funded.
yep.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item, thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Item I, a resolution approving amendment number 1 to task order number 6 to the DGO Engineering Master Agreement for Professional Services and authorising city manager to sign and execute said amendment.
So council, if you're looking at this agenda statement, I would encourage you to just scroll to the budget background, because that will inform the discussion. DGR is requesting a task amendment for what they're referring to as task order 6, phase 1 distribution improvements with DGR engineering. These are specifically, or this improvement is specifically for the purpose of Reisner substation feeder egresses, and Sweezy substation feeder number 2 egresses. So to provide you some background, because we have had several electrical improvements discussed this spring and coming into the summer. Pro's project is $1.6 million. The engineering fees are part of this. You are not awarding that project at this time. You're only moving forward with the engineering fees. The owner furnished material is outlined in table 1 in that amendment. We estimated that based on DGR's estimate at $1.3 million during budgeting. That increased to $1.6 million. But this is sort of a project that was part of your phase 1 improvements that is going to be required for Reisner to work with the system. You can see that we borrowed the 4.3 for Reisner. You've got a bid out for the URD at 1.9, and then in 25-26, we're planning to gather the funds. That's the highlighted portion of that at 1.3 million. It's now estimated at 1.6. Remind you that we did have some cost savings on Reisner with some of the bid openings. I would also say that depending on what you're feeling about on this particular phase, this has to be done for Reisner to work. If the bids come back on the URD project greater than you're comfortable moving forward, we can reallocate those proceeds to this project and then waive that borrowing in 25-26. Now, that would not be the preference of the electrical department. They have purchased material for that project, but that is probably how I would advise you to go if we get into this and the URD project comes in over bid. Probably pump the brakes on that and then move forward this one because it is required for the system to work. But this was, to emphasize, it was part of the forecast and we have planned for it. It is within the 1% rate increases within the electric utility. So this was something that we did talk about during the budget, and it is simply completing the engineering for the project.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item J is a resolution authorising the city manager to sign and execute change order number 8 And council authorise final payment and retainage in 30 days to Rash Constructions of Fort Dodge, Iowa for the completion of the 2021 Second Street reconstruction project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This look for approval on change order for number 8. Change order number 8 is for reducing or adjusting contract quantities and the reduction of the contract of $16,094.53. The second one is for authorizing final payment of $3,867.74 and release retainage in the amount of $132,355 in 30 days to Rash Construction. And this all pertains to the 2021 Second Street reconstruction project.
Okay.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. You'd be glad to have that one off you. Okay, and John. Item K is resolution authorising city manager to sign and execute amendment number 10B, Snyder and Associates, to provide professional services on Paul Street paving specialist.
Okay, so this one, just plain and simple, it deals with GIS. So our original amendment with Snyder and Associates, it talks about the PDFs and the thumb drives that we would receive. We changed and updated our policy to get just stuff compatible to our GIS database. So working with Ryan and Sam's company, our GIS company, and with Snyder Associates, all working together collaboratively to work through this process. We have it down now, so this is one step in that direction. So,
yeah. All for motion.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
So how do you want to do the appointment? I'm going to just read them out. And appointment of one member to the Park and Recreation Advisory Commission for the 4-year term beginning June 1st, 2024 and ending May 31st, 2028. We have Chris Kehoe as an applicant, but he currently also reapplied. So, and we had a new applicant, Kyle Kane.
I move to appoint Chris Kehoe.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item 2 is appointment of 2 members of City Planning and Zoning Commission for 4-year terms beginning June 1st, 2024 and ending May 31st, 2028. I have applicant Lynn Jaycox as the current, be reapplied. New applicants is Maggie Buitenkamp, John Marble, and Monica Haberman.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this one. Don't get my sister in there.
Move to approve Lynn Jaycox and Maggie Breitenkamp for appointment for City Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item 3 is appointment of 1 member to the Hotel Motel Board for an unexpired term beginning June 1st, 24 and ending May 31st of 27. And the applicant is John Marble.
Move to appoint John Marble.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item 4 is an appointment to 1 member to the Traffic Study Committee for a 4-year term beginning June 1st of 24 and ending May 31st of 28. The new applicant is Kyle Kane.
Move to appoint Kyle Kane.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item 5 is an appointment of 1 member to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a 5-year term beginning June 1st of 24 and ending May 31st of 29. His applicant is Monica Haberman.
Move to appoint Monica Hopperman.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
M is the first reading of an ordinance repealing the chapter 36, division 4, sections 36-139 through 36-142 and reserve sections 36-143 through 36-167 pertaining to Wilson Brewer Historic Park Committee and amending chapter 2, article 3, division 1, section 2.71 11 pertaining to council appointments.
Well read, Mayor. That was very well done. So there's a little mouthful, but again, apologize, no agenda statement, but this came up. This was just late in the week and in discussion with the subcommittee members on the Wilson Brewer agreement. As you're aware, we did adopt an agreement that outlined new oversight and management of the park. We now have to do some consideration of appointing the new members as well as what to do with the remaining advisory board that's in our code. Based on our legal counsel, they've recommended that we act to simply remove that advisory committee from the code and then inform the remaining board members that that committee has been abolished and invite them to apply for application on the new board and for consideration to appointment on the new agreement that is joint between the city and Hamilton County. So that is what this ordinance does in effect. I do believe we are recommending waiving second and third reading unless there is a concern about that by Zach or Carol. We discussed that when we were preparing?
We have.
Yeah. So that our recommendation would come to act on it and waive the second and third reading. Is that correct, Carol?
We'll wanna do first reading, waive second and third in one motion.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
We call for motion to waive the second, third reading.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Then we'll get past it.
Move to pass it up.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Zach, have you got a report this month? You weren't here last month. Did you read your last month's?
Was I not here last month?
No.
No, I was here last month. I was here, but here for the second week, but. Okay, so Ariel already presented on the 4 lots that you revised in his purchase agreements, and you guys are setting a public hearing for the next meeting. We did go ahead and order the abstracts for those ones, just in preparation of the contractor, assuming you guys approve it, is ready to start breaking ground on that sooner rather than later. So we wanted to get ahead on that. As you guys know, with your abandoned properties in town, we're slowly chipping away at them over the last 10 years, probably. We had 2 more we're just filing on now. So those will be filed this week to go after 2 additional properties. We're hoping this doesn't become a thing all the time. And then nuisance is a court for meeting every 2 weeks. City staff is trying to stay on top of all these nuisances. And of course, I always encourage you, and I think some of you have already, if you do have issues or if you're contacted about properties, to contact Chief Moore, myself, John, Derek, Ariel, whoever, and we'll get it on the list so we can keep up on these properties. So if you're contacted, send them our way, or you guys can contact us. Yes.
Call for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Thanks, everybody.
It's like. You said it's.
I know.
I didn't answer for you. I was still fighting for. She said, you know anybody that has some questions, disputes and everything else? I do, you know. We're getting this bumper.